Toastmasters when I first joined. Martin was one of the best speakers in Munich at the time, and now no more. Because he left. So now he's one of the best speakers in Frankfurt.
Yes!
But in 2007, he was a serial competitor. 2007, he won the District 59 International Speech Contests. It's not bad, lads. That deserves an applause. International Speech Contest. I mean, there's not that many district winners in the room. We only have 2, I believe. No. We've 3. In English? Oh, yeah. What was that parody video that German doesn't count as a real language? There was the Netherlands. That's what the Dutch say about Germany. Germany doesn't count as a real language. Not that many people have won the International Speech Contest in English. Then to go on to America and get a place in the semi-finals. That's the caliber of speaker that we're talking about here. I'd like to welcome on stage Martin Brown.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that warm applause. And of course, thank you, Mel. Now, some of you may not remember that I have some history with Mel. So before we get to Christopher, let's deal with Mel, because this is a roast. And why do one roast when you can do 2? Now, Mel is a modest man, and he probably hasn't told you that he has recently been honoured with a wax model of himself at Madame Tussauds in London. It's an easy one to find, because apparently it's got a sign around its neck. It's the only dummy that does. And it says, "Do not punch." Apparently it's had to be taken in several times for repairs already. And let me tell you, if you're going there, wax is not that yielding. But it's a wonderful evening tonight, isn't it? You know, we've had so many great speakers and we're here to honour Chris. But it seems to have been a bit of a long night. It seems to have dragged on and on and on. A bit like Chris telling us he's going to leave. But I suppose we're the lucky few, because we'll be able to come back in years to come and say to our neighbours, "Were you here at the first one? I was." Now, ladies and gentlemen, we like to laugh about people and we like to laugh with them. But I have to say, on a more serious note, Chris, you're my friend and mentor. And God bless you. God bless you, my friend. And remember that God has given you the way you look. There's really no need to feel ashamed. Just because you popped out of there a little too quick and slapped into the wall, it wasn't your fault, my friend. No. Now, it's true that Chris wasn't a pretty child. It's true. But he has certainly grown up to be one fucking ugly adult. But you know what? Despite all the things that have tried to drag Chris down, he has brought himself up to be the self-made man he is today, the entrepreneur he is today. Oh yes. But like all great entrepreneurs, Chris has had his setbacks, particularly so his first business, which was a sperm bank. He had to close it down, because apparently nobody gave a toss. Chris found this all very hard to swallow. But like the old song goes, he chewed it up and swallowed it. But today I have to say he's a great man. And I have to say that, because frankly he paid me to say it. Chris, the cheque. I hope it clears. Now, when I was first asked to put a few words together for this evening, and when I say when I was first asked, because let's face it, it was a long time ago now, and there's been a few intermittents in between that, okay, I thought, well, what can I talk to you about? About Chris, this giant amongst us. And then I thought, well, why don't I talk about his oral abilities? After all, he's pleasured so many. But then I thought, well, you know, quite frankly, everybody here is going to know that Chris is a cunning linguist. And with that facial hair, is this a subject we really want to explore? And then I thought, well, you know, maybe I should talk about his sartorial elegance. Chris, let's face it, was probably born in a pinstripe suit. I believe legend has it that all his suits are drip dry, so that he doesn't have to take them off when he takes a shower. And of course, Chris is the archetypal poster child for the American men's retailer Brooks Brothers. Yes. The clothes for old farts. And Chris, I have to tell you, whenever I walk past a Brooks Brothers window, I'm reminded of you. I think it's something to do with the dummy in the window. But then I thought, well, you know, can I really talk about fashion? After all, not everybody here is going to be a fashionista. I mean, Mel's here. And let's face it, I'm a big believer in the policy, no child left behind. So I was running out of ideas. I was thinking, fuck me, what am I going to talk about this dusty dinosaur to you about tonight? It was then that I heard the voice of God. And my wife said, why don't you talk about golf?
Oh no! Oh no!
Now this is a difficult subject for me, ladies and gentlemen, because it's taken me years to recover. I've had to have therapy and pharmaceutical help to get over my first experience with Chris on a golf course. It was some years ago now, but I'm feeling better now. It was 2006, somewhere in the north of Germany. It was an early morning round. I'd never played golf with Chris, and hopefully I was never going to do it again. That day it rained cats and dogs, ladies and gentlemen. It was, as we like to say in Britain and Ireland, pissing down. So thank God for that, because there wasn't anybody else on the golf course that Chris could kill. Otherwise he'd just be getting out of jail now for involuntary manslaughter. It was the first hole, a monstrous par 5. It drifted off. We couldn't even see the pin as it drifted into the haze of rain and mist in the distance. But it looked fantastic. I'd already played my shot. Brilliant, of course. Everybody else had played their shot. And then came Chris. Oh yes, there he was. He looked the part. He'd got the clothes. He reached into his bag for his trusty driver, the big dog. He had the grip. He put his ball down on the tee. He had the bum waggle. Everybody expected great things. Now, some of you may be familiar with the name Tiger Woods, former multiple year #1 golf champion. And some of you may have seen his world famous video for Nike, where he plays with the ball. He's juggling it there on a golf club. He puts it behind his leg, it's behind his back, and then he flips it up in the air and he whacks it off into the distance, smashing the camera lens over 100 meters away. Well, Chris is better. Tiger Woods, retired now. Chris, with his bum waggle, he's ready to smash that ball down the fairway. Oh yes. He took his backswing. It coiled like a spring, like a bent cobra ready to strike. And then he released. Oh yes. And we all heads turned to see that ball fly down the fairway. But we'd lost it. In the mist. Was it that fast? How could we have missed that shot? It wasn't till about maybe 30 seconds later, ladies and gentlemen, that we realised that the ball was actually behind Chris by about a metre. What had actually happened was he'd managed to top that ball so perfectly, with fantastic timing and precision, that it had just dented into the ground, come up over the top of him, and landed behind him. Fantastic. I was flabbergasted. Hell, I wanted to be able to do that. Chris was undaunted, a true professional. He just went back a metre, re-teed the ball, did his professional bum waggle again. Oh yeah. And if you've seen Chris's bum waggle, you'd need pharmaceutical cocaine like that. This time, he was a little bit more careful. He lined up the ball. He stood back. He looked, where did he want to place this ball? Oh yeah, he'd got the line. He stood over the ball. He took his backswing, coiled like a spring, and he released through the ball. This time, it sailed down the fairway. Oh my God, 50 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters, 200 meters. It was straight as an arrow. The only problem was, it wasn't the ball. Chris had thrown his driver down the fairway. 17 more holes of this later. I knew I would need therapy and large doses of pharmaceutical cocaine. But you know, Chris, God bless him, is leaving Europe. He's leaving Germany. So I can tread the fairways with some safety now, thank God for that. And he's returning back to Trumpville. And I can't think of anybody better suited to make America great again. You tell him, Chris. And he's going back to Denise, his wife of nearly 40 years. And if you think about that for a moment, if she'd thought about that for a moment, she would have got a hell of a lot less if she just shot him. So ladies and gentlemen, join me, if I had a glass here, to raise your glass to Christopher Magyar. He may be leaving us to go home, but he always has a home in our hearts.